Okay, so I have Leandra with us today, and she's calling in from Gibraltar, and she's doing a crossing, and she's going to be heading to Cannes very soon. So before we begin, Leandra, how did you find out about the crew coach? Where did
I
you?
think when I started yachting, it's quite an intimidating industry, if I can say the least. So I was on Instagram trying to follow everyone in the industry to get as much advice as I could, to get as much support as I could. And obviously I came across the crew coach, and yeah, Instagram I think is now a good way of meeting new people.
100%. And also getting that support, I think, is also crucial
Yeah.
when you're working in such an industry. And it's just amazing how relationships unfold through Instagram, and building that positive support network is definitely achievable through social media. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason
Yeah.
why we're connecting today is because mental health is something that I'm passionate about, and it's an area that I specialize in. And Leandra is going to tell us more about what she's currently doing with her blog. But you graciously opened up to me and shared your mental health issues before coming on board, and how that impacted you working on board as well. And yeah, I'm just very curious to know a little bit more about that, and how you shifted your thinking to arrive at a place where you are today, and creating something of purpose and meaning through your blog. And yeah, I can see that's having a massive impact on your life right now, and it's inspiring a lot of other crew. And that's why I like connecting with people like yourselves, because you're making a difference, and that's so important within the industry. So maybe if you can give us a little bit of background into some of the mental health issues that you were experiencing, and then we'll take it from there.
Of course. So basically, I go years back. I suffered massively from insecurity, and I just started seeing it coming out in every area of my life. So I suffered from an eating disorder for as far back as I can remember. So I'm going to say about 6-7 years. And along those years, I was always craving the approval of others. So I was always in these false relationships where I was hoping this person loves me, or this friend loves me. And meanwhile, it was just, I was in relationships with the wrong people for the wrong reasons. And all of this just kept bundling and bundling. And then the main outcome was that I didn't love myself. So I was looking for love from food. I was looking for love from relationships. And then when I was in school, when I was in university, and even in my work career, I found that, well, only looking back now, I see how it affected that part of my life. So I was always focused on the wrong things. I was worried about what people think. I was worried about, does that guy like me? I was worried about, oh, am I putting on weight? Does my body look good? Do I look good? Am I good enough? Am I pretty enough? And I think that distracted me so much that my grades could have been better. I could have been more focused on what actually makes me happy and what could guide me to my purpose. And then I also feel like when your mind is so busy with all that negative things and trying to get the approval of others, you are constantly making excuses in your workplace. So you need a bathroom break, but you actually going to sit on your phone to get some reassurance from someone, or you are busy working, but your mind is somewhere else, so you're not fully present. And this was kind of my life in short. But towards, I think it was the end of 2017, I started this whole self-love journey, and I was seeing a life coach, and I was getting guidance from my family and some self-help books and my friends. And basically I was doing well and I was pretty much over my eating disorder, and I was quite content being happy by myself. And then I entered the yachting industry. And because I wasn't fully aware of who I was, of if I loved myself, I wasn't quite where I wanted to be yet. With the stress from the industry and the change in the of coming from an office job to the yachting industry, it all caused so much discomfort. And I was away from home, I was away from my family and friends. So I kind of felt lost. And with feeling lost, I just fell into all my old habits. So
Mm.
I fell into having a bad relationship with food again. I fell into wanting approval from guys. I fell into being super sensitive on board. Like I was always wondering, are people talking about me, or am I actually fit for the industry?
Mm.
And I also found that I was involved in a bit of drama. And if I wasn't involved in drama, I wanted to know what the latest gossip was on my boat.
Mm.
So it was a bit of a tough season, and I'm going to be honest, and I think a lot of people need this reminder that I was posting photos on Instagram and I was having people message me saying, "Oh, you look so happy. I'm so glad you made this decision. You're really living the life." But deep down, I mean, I had my good times. I have moments I will forever be grateful for. But I also have times where I wasn't happy, but I was portraying I was super happy. And towards the end of the season, I was like, I just don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to be distracted from yachting. I don't want to be having a fling on board with someone just because I feel lonely or I need comfort from someone. And I was like, I don't want to have a bad relationship with food anymore. I just want to live in the moment and live the best life I can live. And with living the best life I can live, I was like, well, my insecurities affected yachting because I was distracted. I was missing little jobs. I was forgetful of what my chief stew said, and she would get frustrated. Then I would get like upset.
Mm.
And so it's like in yachting, if I want to be my best, I've got to accept myself for who I am. I've got to know that who I am is enough, and that I've got to work on my relationship with food because I was late for work sometimes because after lunch I would binge on food for that comfort or something like that.
Mm.
So it all comes around and it all ties together that because I was lacking in self-love, every other area of my life was lacking. So going back to being the best version of myself, I just decided that I've got to focus on me. If I want a successful job, I've got to be the best I can to give the best I can. If I want a successful relationship, I've got to love myself so someone can love me back. If I want to live this happy life, I've really got to stop caring what people think. So I invested a lot of time. I did invest quite a bit of money too because I went on like a self-love retreat.
Mm.
And from about the end of August, I just dedicated all that time to me. Stop caring what people think. It's hard, super hard. You've got to surround yourself with people that are basically people that you aspire to be, people that you look up to. And I just started dedicating all this time to myself, reading self-help books. I would force myself to go out by myself, meet new friends. When I was in Barcelona, I joined this group called Girls in Barcelona, which completely different group from yachting, and I went out with them and I would figure out I like that kind of person. Maybe that person's not my type. Then I would figure out like, okay, I enjoy going out and having a good time, but I also enjoy time by myself. So
Mm.
I was trying to look for that balance in everything. And I think it's really safe to say that I've finally figured out who I was, what I liked, what people I like, what people make me feel good, and it became a lot easier for me to surround myself with more people that made me feel good and less people that didn't align with my values. And I think in finding myself, you figure out who you like. So when it comes to relationships, you're not just settling. For example, if you join a new boat, you're not just going to settle for someone who's on your boat because you feel lonely. Now okay, this is my kind of guy. I'm only going to go for it when he comes and ticks off all the boxes. Or even with yachting, I was like, okay, well, this is what I want in the industry. I want a boat that does this. I want crew that are like this. I want chefs that are like this. And I actually wrote down a list of everything I wanted. I set it as my wallpaper on my phone to constantly remind me of this is who I am, this is what I'm looking for. And when I realized my old boat was not aligning with what I had written down, I just resigned, and I was like, I'm taking a chance because this boat is not who I want to be. And literally within a week after I resigned, I got a call from another boat, which I'm currently on, and it ticked off 7 out of 8 things on my list.
Amazing.
So, yeah. So it's just when you know who you are, you know what you want, and when you know what you want, it's pretty easy to start attracting it into your life.
Sure.
And after this whole self-love journey, I've joined this boat, and I feel like a completely different person. I went to Bali for a bit before resigning and before coming to join this boat. And something happened in Bali where I was like, I just felt content. I was like, this is who I am. If you're gonna like it, great. If you're not, I don't care. Like, there's so many people in the world who's gonna accept me for who I am. There's so many people who are gonna accept me for my past and for the journey that I've come on. And yeah, something happened in Bali where I just came back a changed woman. And having joined this boat, knowing who I am, I can say that I feel more content. I know I'm here for the purpose of work. I'm here to be the best stewardess that I can be. And I'm here to learn from my lead stewardess, my chief stewardess. And I also noticed that when it comes to drama, as I mentioned in one of my recent blog articles, every yacht will have drama. Doesn't matter what it's about or anything like that, they will have their own drama. And I just find now that I kind of want to avoid it. And if I know, okay, there's drama in that group going out, I'm going to avoid it. And I feel like I'm prepared for the future with regards to that stuff. And it's almost like I just don't want to be involved in it because I realize there's so much more to that. I want to focus more on building better friendships or things like I mentioned earlier, that when I was involved with drama, I wanted the latest gossip. And I think it's because I wasn't confident in myself to speak or make a conversation with a stranger or someone on board. So I would always turn to what was comfortable, and that's what you know. Oh, I know there's drama going on, so what's the latest gossip? Where now, when you're more confident with yourself, it's quite easy to start a conversation or to ask people questions about themselves, and there's just so much more to gain than a little snicker about what's going on board or something.
And I think it also
So
comes down to, as you said, values, and that's something that I'm feel strongly about. And asking yourself the question, does this serve me? And if it doesn't serve you, then don't do it. So for example,
exactly.
gossiping is filling a void for something that you feel that's lacking in your life. And usually when you don't have a purpose or understanding of who you are as a person, then you look for the extraneous factors to fill your life up. And that's usually filling your life up with meaningless stuff that's not serving you. So it's so important to ask yourself, is this serving me? And is this in alignment with my values? So from what you said, and thank you so much for being honest and having the courage to be vulnerable, because I know it's not easy, especially in a public space. So thank you so much, because I hope this inspires other crew members to do the same and to realize that they're not alone. And we all experience mental health issues. It doesn't make you worse or better than anyone else, because I think we've all been in the same boat at some point in our lives, whether it's anxiety or depression or bipolar disorder, eating disorders, whatever it is. I mean, what's lacking in the industry is mental health first aid. For someone
Yeah.
that was experiencing the issues yourself, do you feel that there was enough knowledge, expertise, skills on board for example, for your chief stew to recognize that you were going through some personal issues yourself and needed probably extra support?
My previous teacher had just said to me that she thinks I tend to overthink, which 100% that was an issue. But she never, I think when I was on board, I hit it quite well. Um, I mean, I'd have days where I was just an emotional wreck, and she would comfort me. But other than that, I hit it quite well, and I never really opened up to it. And then she eventually left by the time I was trying to start this whole self love journey. So I can't say anyone in the industry has come to me and said they've noticed something's wrong, can they help, or anything. When I started my self love journey, it was completely different from yachting. I went to one of my role models and I read her books, and I went on her retreat, and I went guidance from my family and one of my best friends who really helped me through everything. And yeah, I think personally, myself, having gone through everything, I'm a lot more aware of what's going on around me. So if I see someone who's maybe stressed and binging on food, then in my mind it triggers, is she okay? She's obviously dealing with something deep down. Or, for example, a little, and we all see it, some people will go out and get drunk, and when they get drunk, all the truth starts coming out, and a lot of people will want to turn to a hookup. And sometimes it's more than just a hookup. After that hookup, they want it to be a relationship. They want it to be something more. They want to know, oh, does this guy really like me? And for me, that comes down to, well, do you like yourself? You know, can you accept yourself for who you are? And I speak this because I was there once. So I, I'm not generalizing. I'm just saying that this is what I went through. So it's what goes through my mind when I see it happening around me.
Yeah,
Um,
not the first-hand
so
experience.
definitely, yeah, definitely in the industry, I think we do need some more guidance in mental health. And I think the biggest thing is people feel embarrassed about it. I mean, it took me, I mean, as soon as I healed my relationship with food and no longer have an eating disorder, and kind of realized that that was who I am, it became a lot easier for me to talk about it. But I can imagine, I mean, I sometimes feel embarrassed talking about it. You know, I always say to my friends, like, oh, please don't tell anyone had an eating disorder. I'd rather it come from my mouth. Um, so I can imagine people feel embarrassed about it and then they don't talk up. So I'm hoping what my blog does, and I think what you're trying to do too, is to get people to realize they're not alone. Like, we actually all real. We're all going through issues, and it's just so much more powerful if we're all going through it together. Especially as females, you know, it's quite a demanding industry. You know, they always want you to look your best. They want you. I've had people ask me for full body shots of before I have an interview with them, and that kind of makes you feel, oh geez, like, do they want to know if I'm skinny enough? Do they want to know if I'm pretty enough? And when I was first looking into yachting, I did a call with someone to give me more information, and the first question she asked me was, do you have an eating disorder? And I'm not gonna lie, I lied about it and I said no, I didn't. But knowing that she asked me that, it was always stuck in my head. If I have an eating disorder, I'm not going to do well in the industry, which I can see now is true, because if you have an eating disorder, or in this case, any mental health issue, your focus is on you. It's not on what your job is. It's not on what you have to do next. It's on yourself, on your thoughts, on your draining thoughts that are just distracting you from everything.
Mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot to go through, especially when you're having a current mental health issue that you're dealing with on a busy boat, whether it's a charter or private boat.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
it's very, very difficult to manage because it's all go, 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 go. And it's physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausting. And to have an underlying or pre-existing mental health issue to deal with on top of that can be very, very challenging.
Yeah.
What point did you make that turnaround or self-realization in the industry? Like, was there, when did the penny drop for you? And because obviously you were doing work beforehand to work on yourself, and you reached out to your family members, did the retreat, but you said that you were in the industry and then you realized that you needed to change. So what event or situation occurred for that to happen?
So I remember talking to myself a few times and saying like, you can't do this, like you can't do this, not good for you. And to be honest, I was at a point where I was miserable. I hated the way my body looked. I felt like my skin was so dehydrated. You could see the stress in my face.
Mm,
It really looked like I lacked self care.
mm,
And I think for me, I felt unhappy. And the one day I had this conversation with myself, and I'm like, you're living on a yacht, you're living on the ocean, you're living overseas. If I was in an office job, I'd never have the chance to travel. If I was, I don't know, if I didn't take this step, I'd never be where I am now. I was like, I'm making good money, I'm meeting amazing friends. Like, there's no reason for me to be unhappy. Like, I have everything going for me. And I
mm,
think that was a massive realization. And I kept saying to myself, oh, if I stop this eating disorder, I'll be happy. If I start loving myself, I'll be happy. So I feel like I always knew in my heart that I had to get over that little mountain um, in order to be happy. And I was right, because the moment I stopped my eating disorder, I I just formed this better relationship with the food, and it was because I was starting to form a better relationship with myself.
mm,
Um, so it was towards the end of the season last year. I think it was end of August, beginning of September, and my chief stew had left,
mm,
and she had um, advised that I leave too, because she could see the boat wasn't good for me.
mm,
And I decided to stay on because I was new. I wanted to prove longevity. So I stayed on, but I think the boat was just bringing me down more and more and more. And I was constantly trying to be positive. I was like, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. And then eventually it just wasn't. So I think it was realizing too that I'm away from home. Yes, my family and friends are a call away, but physically they are not there. So
mm,
the only person I can rely on, the only person that's going to be there for me through thick and thin is myself. And I think that was a massive wake up call.
mm,
And I had started a blog 2 years ago,
mm,
and it was also on self love. And I wanted to talk about women empowerment, but it failed because wasn't I wasn't ready to help other girls because I hadn't helped myself yet. So I think in my mind, I also felt like I've always felt this need to inspire people, to motivate people to love themselves. But how can I do that if I don't love myself?
mm,
So I think it was all those factors coming together where I was like, yeah, I've got to do this. And I was just drained. I was exhausted. I was like, enough is enough. I don't want to be this person anymore. I want to be happy. I want to live the best life I can be, uh, the best life I can live.
mm. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned in our chats on Instagram, we discussed your blog, and then also your fear around. Um, well, I asked you a question about failure. What does failure mean to you, and what success means to you? So, what can you tell me a little bit more about that? Like, what was your fear around your blog?
So I think it comes back down to that conversation I had with that lady a few years ago when she asked me, do I have an eating disorder? And
Mm,
that made me feel like if I did, I wouldn't succeed in the industry.
mm,
So I believe the best lessons in life are learned through experiences. So
mm,
the whole purpose of my blog is to try build this community where girls can share their experiences. Think of it like a Google for women.
mm,
So girls can come on to my blog, read my articles, read some articles from other women, and realize they're not alone. Maybe they can learn from how I got through something. Maybe they can learn how another lady got through something. So obviously, if I want people to learn from my experience, I have to share my complete story. I have to be open about who I was, what I did, my relationships, my relationship with food, everything.
mm,
So my fear of failure was that if I release this blog, one, everyone in the industry is going to know I was the girl that had the eating disorder.
mm,
So is that going to stop me from getting a future job? Is that going to stop me from progressing in the career? And then two, I was a little bit worried about, I mean, I know some people on social media find ways to put others down in the industry. And I was like, this is a huge step for me to come out with this. Like, I personally don't know another yachty that has come out with a story like this. Are they going to put me down, or are they going to cheer me on and support me? So I
mm.
guess that's coming down to a little bit, oh, I'm caring a bit about what people think.
Yeah,
But yeah, I was just scared that I wasn't going to be accepted in the industry anymore because of what I had gone through.
yeah. And I can understand that. And what's also important to note, which you've highlighted, is that the old beliefs start coming through. So, especially when you
Yeah,
do something new and you're a little bit hesitant on how it's going to pan out, we tap into the old belief system. And in your case, it could be, I'm not good enough, and what that impact that will have on you.
yeah,
So it's again seeking
yeah,
out reassurance to know that you are okay, and understanding what your
yeah,
triggers are, and using tools like self affirmations, and not worrying about what other people think of me, which you've used before. I think it's so important to highlight that it's necessary to understand what your triggers are, and also have a fundamental understanding in your coping mechanisms and how to manage it. Like,
yeah.
if we had to now, hopefully we will inspire some viewers watching this vlog, but if we can give some people or crew some takeaways in terms of how to manage their mental health, because it's not easy while working in season, what could some of the tools and strategies that you have found effective that they could possibly use for themselves?
So, a massive realization for me, and it's something to always be mindful of, is your mind is so powerful and your thoughts determine what is going to happen in your life. So, if you are negative, if you do not love yourself, if you are so unhappy with where you are, if you think, like, why is this happening to me? You are going to attract everything on that same vibration. So you're going to attract a job that doesn't care about you. You're going to attract a relationship with someone who doesn't love you. You're going to attract um, friendships that are negative. Maybe they're filled with drama. Um, and then if you turn it around completely, which is where I saw a major change, when you start loving yourself, when you start accepting yourself for who you are, when you start giving yourself everything you need, whether it's comfort, love, um, time alone, if you crave quality time in a relationship, start by giving quality time to yourself. Um, so when I started doing those things, I've started attracting things in my life where I have a job, which I feel they really appreciate me. I don't have a relationship, but I feel like the next relationship to come along is going to love me as much as I love myself. So definitely be careful of what you're telling yourself. Be careful of what thoughts you're putting out there. And it comes down to being positive. So if you're going to sit there and say, I hate my job, oh, I wish I had a better job, or something like that, then honestly, you're just going to keep attracting a negative job. But if you turn it around and say, you know what, this job is not exactly where I want to be right now, but I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that it pays. I'm grateful that I get to travel. I'm grateful for the people I've met and the lessons I've learned. You will automatically start attracting what you want. You'll start attracting higher vibrations, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um, so definitely focusing on your thoughts, and how you can surround yourself with positive thoughts is be careful who you surround yourself with. I did a huge declutter of Instagram and unfollowed anyone that was negative, or that just spoke like negative posts or anything like that. Basically anyone that didn't make me feel good. My friends, I started surrounding myself with people that brought me up instead of people that wanted to go out and get drunk for the sake of getting drunk. And yeah, so it's who you surround yourself with. Then it's, of course, what you tell yourself. So I have been journaling for a while, but often when I was feeling confused and stuff, I would just write and write, and all the answers would come to me. And any negative thoughts, I would write and write until I was like, hold on, actually, it's not that bad. I've actually gained something from that negative thought, and then I turn it into a positive. So journaling, and in that journaling comes with self-affirmations. I know it's always like, oh, okay, but I've told myself I love myself so many times and I still don't believe it. What next? It's more than just telling yourself things. You have to do things for yourself. So think of it like, what would you do for someone that loves them, that you love? So say you're in a relationship with someone that you are absolutely in love with. What would you do? You would want to take them on dates. So take yourself on a date, put your phone off, take yourself on a date, take your journal, go write in your journal, go have a cup of coffee by yourself, appreciate what's around you. Or maybe you want quality time out of a relationship. So give yourself quality time, have a bath, or go do a little yoga session or something like that. So it's really about finding out what makes you feel happy. That feeling where you just feel, oh my goodness, and happy. Like, you need to find things that align with that feeling and do more of it. And whatever makes you feel, oh, don't know if I should, if I shouldn't, then that doesn't align with your value, and the answer is no. My best friend actually told me, like, if someone asks you a question and your answer is I don't know, it usually means no, because you will always want to go with what gives you that happy feeling and that glow feeling. So yeah, and then I think what helped me is talking about it. So I would start opening up about it, and when I was still suffering, I would talk as if I wasn't suffering. So I was like, oh, I'm so grateful that I'm over all of this, because now I can live a fulfilled life. And that also, I was like, it was helping me overcome all of these thoughts and everything like that. So yeah, that's all that's come to my mind at the moment.
So if I had to summarize for everyone,
yeah,
I think the important factor is trying to be present. So living in the moment, gratitude, affirmations, but affirmations that resonate with you, because you need to be in touch with the vibrations that it sends off. So saying, you're okay, it sounds corny, but like, like saying, oh, you're so beautiful, and then you got this voice in your head saying, no, you're not, you're fat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's being more specific with your affirmations. So for example, saying, I am kind because, and then identifying maybe what kind acts that you've been engaging in, and it makes it more realistic because you're supporting it with evidence. And then understanding your values, and that can be a really tough task because there's so many values out there. And I usually do this in workshops, and it's great for team building exercises, especially with crew. So I used to work with prisoners, and I did a values exercise, and I had a massive self-realization when I imposed my own value on a prisoner. One of my values is helping others. I had this, my thought is that, well, everyone else would love to help each other too, because that's, who wouldn't want to help other people? And that wasn't that guy's value. So he was more conservative and private, and someone needed help. So I said to him, would you mind sharing your homework so that the person next to you can just get a better understanding and catch up on the work? And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like your value is not helping others, but that's okay, because there might be person who's why you might not want to. What I'm highlighting there is that your values are your guiding principles, and you do need to work, whether it's reading self-help books or Googling it. There's a great modality called ACT, which is stands for acceptance commitment therapy, and there's some great tools in there. And what else can I say? So yeah, we've mentioned gratitude, being present, positive support network, as you mentioned. Yeah.
And something else that just comes to my mind is that you have to realize that your past, everything that's happened in your past has led you to believe what you believe today. So that for me was also a bit of work that I had to do. And what I did is, might sound silly, but I wrote letters. So I wrote a letter to any guy that made me feel less than I was, to any friend that ever made me doubt my worth. I basically just wrote letters to my past saying, thank you, I'm sorry for anything. If I made you feel bad, I forgive you, but this is not who I am. I never actually gave the letters out. It was just like to get it off my chest. But you've got to dig deep into your past and find the events that happened and how they made you feel, and going back to where you were at that stage of your life and working on that part of your life. And just that alone makes you realize, okay, it was actually just an immature relationship. We said some mean things to each other, but we didn't mean it. We were young, we were stupid. It's not who I am. And that in itself is so powerful enough to make you realize, actually, I am okay. I'm enough the way I am. So digging into your past might be tough, but it's definitely probably the most important step you have to do to move forward.
Yeah, because it's very healing. And with regards to writing letters, what I found personally was very helpful is looking at past relationships and thinking about the not so good things in those relationships. And this particular process helps with forgiveness. So saying, thank you for teaching me X, Y, and Z, because now I know what I want. I want A, B, and C, not X, Y, and Z. So it's helping you gain clarity in what you're looking for. So yeah, that's really, really important. And before we finish, if you can tell me a little bit more about your blog and your Insta handle, and how people can find your blog, and how often will you be posting, and yeah, all that sort of detail.
So I have two passions. The one is life by the ocean. I find all my answers by looking in the ocean. And two is the passion to inspire women to live a fulfilled life and to encourage them to love themselves, so that they can realize that life is so much better than being stuck in your own head. And so what I did is, I've taken the ocean and the women and I've compared the two. So whatever happens to the ocean happens to women. If we get pulled back, I have this quote that I came up with. It was like, just like a wave, the further we get pulled back, the bigger we come back. Do you know what I mean? So this whole blog is to remind a woman how powerful she is. And I say woman, but I think I've had like 2 or 3 men reach out to me and say that they find it really powerful and that they can relate to. So maybe my focus would move away from women, but at the moment, because of my own journey, it's focused on women. And basically to remind them of the power, to remind them that they are great, but also to look at reality, what's happening these days. So at the moment, there's this huge craze going on about how polluted the ocean is and how um, we really need to start saving the ocean. And what I've done is link that to the women, as in, we also polluted with negative thoughts. We are drowning in thoughts of others, and you can see the thoughts of others as plastic in your own life, you know? So what I'm trying to see is that you need to, if we are the ocean, you need to remove the plastic from the ocean, same way you need to remove the plastic from your own life. So for me, that was quite powerful. And I think when people can start realizing that, um, they kind of, that's where you just stop caring what people think. Because look what the plastic has done to the ocean. It's destroyed it. It's not as beautiful as it used to be. Um, like fishes are dying. It sounds so weird talking about it over video, but it's the same in your life. If you're filling your life with negative thoughts, with negative people, you're going to drown. You're not going to be the best you can be. You're not going to be um, as happy as you can be. So I've taken those two and I've linked it, and um, then obviously I brought in the yachting because I'm in yachting. I thought, well, let me take self-love and relate it to the yachting industry because I suffered, but I was hiding it. So how many other girls are hiding it? And I just want everyone to feel like it's okay to talk about things. It's okay to open up. And I have a community page on my blog. And what I want to do is I want girls to have the courage to send me their stories, whether they want it to be anonymous or not. I mean, it's a bonus if they don't want to be anonymous because that means they're accepting this is what they've been through and they've come out a lot stronger and better. But I want to be able to share those stories and let those stories inspire other women. Um, so that's my community page. And yeah, if you log on or if you go onto my blog, it's just www.oceanblog.com, and it's ocean spelled OSHEAN. And you'll see there's two sections. There's the unseen, which is dealing with all the unconscious thoughts. So that's diving deep beneath the ocean, deep within yourself, and that is looking at your unconscious thoughts, dealing with what happened in the past and how you can get over that to become the best you can be. And then there's the seen part, which is what we see above the surface, and in life, what we see with our own eyes in the yachting industry. So in the seen section, I'll be talking about yachting, and I'll be talking about ocean conservation, what we can do to make a difference. And again, linking it to self-love and ego, because I believe the biggest problem we have these days is people have this ego of, oh, it's embarrassing picking up plastic while I'm at the beach, or oh, it's embarrassing, asking for no straws or something. I feel like they have um this, I don't know, I think they're just scared of what people think, to be honest. So if they can get over that, then I think everyone will start doing their little bit in contributing to ocean cleanups and helping the environment. So, and then with the yachting industry, I know there's quite a few successful blogs in the industry already that are giving people tips on how to enter the industry or how to have, all how to's and advice and things. And I just thought that there was an area lacking in how to be the best you can be on the boat. Because when you're at your best, you automatically want to create a more positive environment, and you want to work hard, you want to motivate others to be their best. So, and then I think with that, you slowly start eliminating drama, you slowly start eliminating the bad sides of the industry because you're focusing on positives. So that would be the whole outcome of my blog, is just to create a more positive community where girls can start just opening up and being real, and again, knowing that we're not alone, we're all in this together.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Um, Yeah. So my Instagram is Leandra Sewell. It's just my name and my surname. And if you go onto my Instagram account, there's a link for my blog. And because it's still winter period now, I've been I've released two blogs within 1 week,
Mm,
but I'm busy scheduling it so that when summer starts, it will probably be one blog a week.
mm.
And hopefully that will be enough to keep people going and just a little bit of self love during the week to say, not alone, you got this. So yeah, let's see where it goes.
Well, I'm wishing you all the best. Thank you so much again for being
Thank
so
you.
vulnerable and having the courage. Yeah, we need more people like you, and I know that they're out there. As we said, it's all about
Yeah,
coming together as a community and supporting each other. That's the most
yeah,
important. Okay. Well, all
exactly.
the best for the season and everything.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your time and letting me share my story with everyone.